Soulwind TV presents.
Faith and Hope with Sweet Tea and Sass, encouraging couples to reconnect with God and with each other so they can live their happily ever after too.
Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Sweet Tea and Sass.
I'm supposed to say sass.
I'm sorry, I just got into it.
He got ahead of me. He took my line.
Oh well, that's what happens when you've been married as long as we have. We tend to think for each other and talk for each other.
Yes, it's a hazard of the job, I guess.
This is not a job.
Sometimes it's a job.
It's an adventure.
That is for sure. No doubt about that. Okay, what's our scripture today, Sweet Tea?
Well, before we get into the scripture, on our last episode, we were speaking of trying to figure out how to be a stay-at-home mom.
Yes, and stay home with that brown-eyed girl.
And so this episode, we're going to delve into something that's totally out of character for me and for what we have been going through so far as a couple and a young family. And
one of those things that old wives would say never.
Exactly.
Because every time you do, you eat those words.
So this week's scripture is John 14:6. Jesus answered, I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me.
Okay, you're going to have to explain to me how that fits in today's topic.
It'll come around.
Okay.
It'll come around. So as we're growing in our family, trying to figure out how we're going to make ends meet, excuse me a minute, I got a mustache hair.
You got plenty of hair, that's for sure.
It's not up top anymore. It's just hanging down.
It used to be beautiful blonde feathers just going back, and then it just kind of flowed all the way back.
And now it's just sagging. So, as I stated, we're in this young family trying to figure out how to get things going and how to make ends meet. And Elizabeth and I are on our way home from a evening church service, and we're discussing about things, our future and what we want to do and where we want to go. And
I don't want to be working anymore.
And she doesn't want to be working, and she wants to stay at home with the babies. And
with the baby. It was baby.
At that time, it was baby. But we were discussing what our future looked like, and I knocked her socks off when I told her that, what do you think about joining the Air Force and reserves and getting the reserves to pay for my college, and then using that degree to work on getting an A&P license and going to work for the airlines.
Yeah, and one of the big selling points, as I remember, is it's just 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks every summer. That's all I have to do.
Right.
That's what I remember.
That's what I remember too.
I could get my degree. I can work locally at the airport, and I can do 1 weekend a month and 2 weekends every summer. Sounded like a pretty good selling point to me.
And they would pay for my college.
Yeah.
So.
And you could probably stay home with Megan after I get all of this accomplished.
Yep.
Yeah. So those all sounded reasonable to me. I sounded like everybody wins.
Yeah, everybody wins.
Everybody wins.
So we prayed about it, and we felt that Uncle Sam was the only way up from where we were at financially and so forth. And
there go our title of today's episode, Uncle Sam, the only way up.
Exactly. But
turned out our only way out.
Yes, our only way out.
Our only way out.
So we figured that, excuse me here a second, folks.
It's all right. You're going to edit anyway.
So we figured that I'd talk to a recruiter. We had some friends at church who were in the Air Force and in the reserves. So I talked to them, and we talked to their wives, and and
Husbands.
husbands, and to figure out if this was if this was legit. And
If it was a good move.
and everybody we talked to gave us a thumbs up and said, yes, this is the way to go. It's a way to have your cake and eat it too, so to speak. And so I said, well, okay. So I called the local base, and
It took a long time to bake that cake.
Yeah. So I called the local base and talked to the local recruiter on base and got a pass to go speak to him. And he said, why do you want to join the reserves? And I said, well, I want to join the reserves because I remember what it was like when my dad was in the Air Force and the lifestyle that they had and the lifestyle I had as a child growing up and having the things that I wanted plus needed and sometimes, but it was also a way for me to serve my country and stay at home and not have to move every 2 to 3 years or 4 years, as my dad did when he was active duty Air Force. So the recruiter said, well, you can, we got some openings for you. You can learn how to load bombs on an A-10. And
well, you had to take some tests first, didn't you?
Well, we're still talking, figure out, what I wanted to do. And I said, well, I really don't want to be a bomb loader, a BB stacker, as they call it.
Yeah. And you talked to me about it, and I was like, you can't do that on the outside. What's the point in getting trained to do that?
Exactly. So I said, well, let's just, what else do you have? And he said, well, we don't have anything right now, but we do have the KC-10s here, and they're always looking for crew chiefs and stuff. And I said, that's what I want to do. And
okay, can you interpret for the people?
Crew chief is a mechanic on an airplane.
Yeah.
They're the ones who pump gas, kick the tires, and send him on the way.
Well, you do more than that.
Yeah, but
you fix the airplane like a mechanic fixes a car.
True. And he said, well, that's the way to go. And so he took my name down and he said, when there's an opening, I'll call you. And I said, okay, sounds good. So I left the base and headed to work. And about the time I got to work, there was a phone call waiting on me. And the recruiter called and said, we have a spot for you. You'll leave for basic training in March.
This was December the 12th.
December 15th.
15th of 1988. Now, it just showed our age for sure.
Yeah. So we had been married
4 years.
4 years at this point.
Yep, just past 4 years.
And I was going to be the old man in basic training. Yeah. So we continued praying about it, making sure this is where we wanted to go and what we wanted to do. And I continued to talk to recruiters or not recruiters, but fellow airmen and friends that we had that were in the military. And we knew this was the way out for us to increase our financial gain, but to get us out of the woods and the sticks.
Well, we were happy with where we lived and everything, but were. I
wanted something more than being a car mechanic.
And you wanted
80 hours a week.
A better life for Megan.
And I wanted a better life for Megan.
Me to be able to stay home.
Yes.
If that's what I wanted to do. You always supported me in whatever I wanted to do. You were all for it.
Yep. I knew you didn't want to work. I knew you wanted to stay at home.
I wanted to stay at home. I wanted to go back to school.
Yep. So those were things that all of this weighed in. All of this was weighing in on our decision to move forward into the realm of the military, knowing that when I was in the Air Force, I swore up and down I would never join the military.
When you were a brat.
Yeah, when I was a brat at home.
Now let's translate that, because a lot of people know, but a brat?
A brat is a military child who is born and raised living in the military lifestyle.
Doesn't know any other way of life. They were born that way.
Born that way, live that way.
We have 3 of those.
We have 3 of those.
3 little brats.
Yep.
They're big brats now, but they're still brats.
But the acronym BRAT stands for boldness, for a child.
Adaptability.
Well, boldness, responsibility, adaptability, and trustworthy, meaning they're bold anywhere they move to,
They have to be.
because you have to be able to adjust. You're responsible anywhere you go, because you have to be. You have to be able to adapt, because everywhere you move, it's something new,
Right.
and you're never anywhere long enough to really build up good friends or anything like that. And then trustworthy, you have to learn to trust people when you move someplace new.
Yep.
And trusting is it's a hard thing to do, and it's a hard life to or not a hard life, but it
is hard life. It is hard. It's a sacrifice. It is.
Yep.
And it was something that you said you would never put your kids through because you didn't love it.
I didn't love it being a kid.
As a kid. And I knew nothing about it. The only thing I knew about the military was a couple of, air shows that I went to as a kid, which tells you nothing about the military. I knew nothing at all. I was actually intimidated by the base and the military. And I was actually scared that I was going to do something wrong and that they were going to throw me in the brig or something. I mean, I was very, and I never told you that, but now you know. But I was actually very intimidated and scared to go on base, to drive on base, to do anything on base. I was actually very, very scared of that.
Yep.
So, I had no knowledge of what military life was like. Boy, did I learn fast.
Yes.
Fast and hard. It was hard lessons to learn.
So the base that I was assigned to was Barksdale Air Force Base there in Louisiana, my first duty station. Now, when I say base,
get ahead.
Most people don't realize how big a base is. And a base is basically a small city. Now, when I mean small city, there's a hospital on base, there's a grocery store on base, there's a bowling alley on base, there was a movie theater on base,
restaurants.
There were restaurants on base. Anything and everything you needed to do, you could do on base and never have to go downtown.
Then. Not now.
Not now.
Many of those things are closed down on most bases.
Most bases are reducing in size, unfortunately.
Yep.
Thanks to Uncle Sam.
Yep. And as military members, we have lost many of those benefits. And we haven't been compensated for them in any other way, although they are calling military members and families to sacrifice and give more and more and more and not get any kind of other compensation as far as raises or benefits. And we've lost a great deal of our benefits that we had.
Yeah. So,
but I mean, you'll find that as we talk about our life and our career in the military, and I say our because I feel like it is, I put in 38 years by his side. You'll find that that's one of my soapbox issues, is that wives, spouses, and families, children, especially spouses and children, do not get the appreciation that we deserve. We can be standing right there beside a military member, and he can be in uniform, and we can be standing right beside him, and somebody will walk up and thank him for his service and act like we don't even exist, like we're not even there. They won't say, hi, how are you? Thank you. Kiss my butt, nothing to us. And that is very hurtful to me. And I know to many spouses it is, because there are many nights we lay awake praying and crying because we don't know if our spouse is going to come home. We don't know if we're going to be a widow by morning. We don't know if our children are going to be orphans. If we're going to have to tell our children when they wake up that daddy's not coming home. Many things that break, children that get sick and have to be hospitalized. We have to do all that by ourselves. Most of the time in a strange place that we don't know anybody. If it wasn't for other military families, we'd have nobody. And we get no thank you, no appreciation. And especially active duty, when their spouse dies, they don't even get any benefits. All of their benefits are gone. They don't get retirement. They don't get medical. They don't get anything. My mother-in-law served 24 years right beside my father-in-law. When my father-in-law passed away, she lost all of her benefits. And that's not right. They don't deserve that.
No,
We
they
don't deserve that.
No.
We sacrificed everything. And it's not right. But anyway, this is supposed to be a funny podcast.
Well, we did tell them the good, the bad, and the funny.
All right. Sorry about my little tangent there. It's just one of my real pet peeves.
So I've signed up. I've officially sworn an oath to serve the country. And now I'm just waiting for basic training.
Even in March, that 3 months.
Got 3 months. So we try and do everything we can possibly do to get ready for me being gone for 6 weeks for basic training, and then 6 to 8 weeks of technical school after that.
And boy, did we not have any idea what that 3 months was going to be like.
No, we did not.
We had no idea the roller coaster ride we were going to go on for that next 3 months.
So that this 3 months was between December and March was a time of anticipation. It was a time of turmoil. It was a time of excitement.
Heartbreak.
Yeah, time of heartbreak. And but we made the best of what it was, and life tends to throw young couples curves that they're not expecting. And
young couples, old couples, all couples in between. Life keeps throwing you curveballs.
Yep.
As I say in one of my talks that I do, what are you gonna do? You're gonna duck, you're gonna cry, you're gonna stop, you're gonna quit. You can't. You just have to adjust and keep going.
So it's I'm trying to prepare my job where I work. Currently I'm working at Firestone, and
as a salesperson, and you hated it. Oh, you hated it.
No, I was back at Firestone as a mechanic. I was still working at Firestone as a mechanic.
Had you left Goodyear?
I hadn't gone to Goodyear yet.
Oh,
That's another
that's
another story.
After basic training?
That was after basic training, but I was still working at Goodyear trying to, Firestone, trying to tell them, this is what's going to happen, and you have to hold my job for when I come back from basic training. And
key point. It's another good thing about staying married for a long time and sticking it out and going is that you become each other's brain. So when one brain malfunctions and says the wrong thing, the other one can make up for your brain. So we do that all the time.
Scary.
Yeah, it is.
So I'm trying to
the mind meld thing.
Trying to let my employer know that they have to hold my position. They can hire anybody they want to, but when I come back, I get my job back. They can't fire me for it.
At your rate of pay, they can't.
At my rate of pay, they can't decrease my pay.
Can't cut your hours.
Nope. It's like I took a 3-month vacation.
Well, approved
vacation from the company. So, and my manager at the time was fighting me tooth and nail on it. Finally, his boss sat him down and looked and said, he told him, if you don't want to be sued, you need to shut your mouth. And when he comes back, he's ready to go back to work. You let him come back to work. So they got off their high horse about it, and I continued working there and continued hating it and trying to get as much money as I could put back.
That time of year, it was just
between Thanksgiving and Easter, so to speak, is when everybody's doing their taxes and Christmas
after Christmas. Nobody has money.
Nobody's got any money, so nobody's fixing their cars unless it's just absolutely necessary. And so it's hard to make money that time of year, and
you're just getting paid minimum wage for the hours you're on the clock.
Yep. So minimum wage back then was what I think I was making $6.50 an hour.
I don't even remember.
Or $5.50 an hour. I mean,
wasn't much.
It wasn't much.
Wasn't enough to feed a baby.
But back then, gas was only $1 a gallon.
I don't know. Would you quit aging us, please? I don't want to be talking about how old I am.
They know how old they are. How old we are. They can look at us and tell.
Excuse me. I look excellent for my age. Don't be talking about me like that. to my face. That's why they call me sass.
Mm-hmm. And I'm just old sweet tea.
Well, the old part and the tea part might
So-
be true sometimes.
How our Bible verse this morning.
Yes. How does that apply? I'm still not getting it.
So
Not the brain, the mind meld thing isn't working.
So the topic of our discussion today was Uncle Sam's the only way up, as we figured the only way to get out of finance.
Yeah.
But today's Bible verse is stating that
yes.
Jesus is the only way.
He's the only way up.
He's the only way up.
Yep.
So the Uncle Sam may have been how we got out of the financial situation we were in, but still, Jesus is the only way up out of the chaos and despair and doom and gloom of this world that we live in, and the sin that's in this world. So that's how today's Bible verse correlates with Uncle Sam being the only way up.
The stresses of life. Jesus is the only way out of the stresses of this life.
Now, with that being said, that doesn't mean being saved by Christ doesn't mean we're not going to have issues, and we're not going to have turmoil, and we're not going to have. That just means what we have here on earth is not our final.
Right.
We're just passing through.
We can look at things when things happen and situations get hard. We can say, this is only temporary.
Yep.
It's only temporary because we know where we're going.
Yep.
Because we know Jesus died to save us.
Even back then, it was hard to see. Because we were so focused on the issues right in front of our face that we couldn't see our nose despite our face, and it just you learn that kind of stuff as you gain age.
I think as you get older, you've learned from wisdom, but you're also closer to heaven, so you can see more clearly. We've gained wisdom.
We're always one step closer to heaven, whether it's today, tomorrow, or only God knows our time. And
when I was young, it was just harder for me to trust when I was younger. I've learned trust over the years because I didn't know how to trust. I was not a trusting person, and I was taught not to be a trusting person. So I've learned how to trust, and it's been a hard lesson to learn. It's
taken a day or two.
Steep climb for me.
Taking a day or two.
But I want to mention a couple of things. Let's talk about reboots. Let's talk about the reboot retreats that we do.
Yeah. So if you're married and
why would they be listening to us if they weren't?
Life is rolling along smoothly or bumpy or whatever it may be.
You might have a great marriage.
You might have a good marriage.
We had a great marriage. We did a reboot.
Yeah.
As part of our training and loved it.
Learned some stuff that we didn't realize that we needed.
Yeah.
But a marriage reboot is a way for couples to get back to basics and relearn their true love.
Reconnect
on things, because life gets in the way. Life happens and you lose that intimacy, you lose that relationship, you get accustomed to your partner
and your
routine and life day in, day out, and it just gets, for lack of a better word, mundane. But that's life, and a reboot is a way to reinvigorate your marriage.
And just like they call it a reboot, just like you reboot a computer when it starts getting a glitch in it or whatever,
starts slowing down or dragging down.
Same thing. It's just a reboot. It's the same thing. You just kind of go away for a weekend, and it's just one couple and us, and we just get our books out and our charts, and we have a good time.
Yep.
Our last couple we did a reboot with, we would ride motorcycles for half the day with them, and then do the reboot half the day, and then go to dinner in the evening and have a good time.
So it's
yes, the kind of stuff we like to do. Oh, and we were camping too. So we were in our RVs. They were in their RV. We were in our RV. So
that was interesting.
Yeah, it was fun. We had a good time.
But a reboot is a way for couples to re-engage with each other and find their love again.
Yeah, rekindle that love, I think. Yeah. And so, if you're curious or you have questions about that, you can go to our website, the Clamon Group, CLAMON group, the Clamon Group.com. And there's a button on there that says click for a discovery call or click for a call. And it's a 30-minute Zoom call, and it's free. And we just talk to you about it, tell you what it's about, and you tell us a little bit about you and what you're going through. And
then we all pray about it and see if this is really what God wants us to do and where he wants to lead us. And if this is in fact what you guys really want. And so just
to let you know, that's something that we offer and something we do and we really enjoy. We also have some workshops coming up. We'll be telling you more about that. Some marriage workshops coming up in April and May. Well, maybe not April now, because I've got a lot of speaking gigs coming up in April. Probably May and June. We'll have some workshops coming up.
Yep.
And so we'll be telling you guys about those as well and putting those in our notes, in the show notes, so you'll know about those coming up as well. So have some opportunities for you to come on and learn some more about us and see us and learn about our marriage ministry.
Yep. So that's all for this week, folks. Hope you enjoyed it, and we look forward to talking to you next week on Sweet Tea
and Sass. He didn't steal my line this time.
Nope. She can do her own line. Bye, y'all.